Container not restarting on config change. The restart. Yes parameter only triggers a restart if the container already exists and is running, but the module's idempotency check didn't detect the config change because comparisons was not set. Let's break down why this happens and how to fix it. Welcome to TheCodeForge. Before we dig into that production issue, let's cover Ansible Docker management. The community.docker collection is Ansible's official way to manage Docker resources. Instead of running ad hoc shell commands, you use idempotent modules that check the current state and only make changes when needed. It communicates with the Docker daemon via the Docker software development kit for Python. First, install the community.docker collection using Ansible Galaxy. Pin the version for production. On target hosts, you need the Docker Python software development kit. Always check the compatibility matrix between collection and software development kit versions. This command installs version 3.40 of the community Docker collection. Use this in your CI/CD pipeline or locally. The Docker container module is the workhorse. Use state, started for production, set restart policy, unless stopped, and always define comparisons to detect changes in environment variables or command. Here's a complete example of managing an Nginx container. Notice the comparisons parameter is missing. We'll fix that later. The Docker image module can build images from a Docker file or pull from a registry. For building, use source, build and force source, yes to rebuild. For pulling, use source, pull. This example builds an image and pushes it to a registry. The build path must exist on the target host. Use delegate to localhost if building on the control node. For multi-container apps, create networks with Docker Network. Always specify a subnet to avoid conflicts. For swarm, use driver, overlay and ensure swarm mode is active. This creates an overlay network with a specific subnet. Setting attachable. Yes allows standalone containers to attach later. Docker volumes provide persistent storage. Use Docker volume to create them. For shared storage, use NFS driver options. Remember, volumes are immutable. To change options, you must destroy and recreate. This creates a local bind mount volume. For NFS, use type, NFS and appropriate options. For Docker Compose stacks, use the Docker Compose v2 module for simple cases. It's idempotent. For advanced features like profiles, fall back to the raw Docker Compose command. This example uses the older Docker Compose module, not v2, to deploy a simple stack. For v2, use Docker Compose v2. Manage container lifecycle with state parameter. Use restart, yes only when configuration changes, typically via handlers. For image updates, recreate by setting state, absent then state, started. These tasks show start, stop, and restart. Note that restart preserves the container file system, while recreate destroys and creates a new one. To manage Docker, you first need Docker installed. Use Ansible to Bootstrap hosts. Add the Docker repository, install packages, and install the Python software development kit. This bootstraps a Docker host on Ubuntu. For production, use the official Docker repository and install Docker Compose plugin instead of standalone Docker Compose. Deploy Compose stacks by copying the file and using Docker Compose v2 or raw Docker Compose. For variable substitution, either set environment explicitly or template the file. This copies a Compose file and deploys it. For Docker Compose v2, use the environment parameter to pass variables. For zero downtime deployments, use a blue-green pattern. Deploy a new container with the new image, verify it's healthy, update the load balancer, then remove the old container. For Docker Swarm, use Docker Swarm service with update config to perform rolling updates. This updates containers with zero downtime. For private registries, log in with Docker login. Always set no log, yes on tasks handling secrets. Use Ansible Vault to encrypt sensitive variables. This creates a Docker secret and logs into a registry. Note the use of no log is missing here, always add it. After deployment, verify containers are running with Docker container info. Use it to decide whether to recreate, making playbooks faster and idempotent. This checks if the container exists, is running, and is healthy. Use this pattern to ensure your deployment succeeded. This is the same issue we highlighted at the start. Here's exactly why that happened. The playbook used restart, yes, but didn't set comparisons. The module checked if the container existed and was running. It was, so it reported OK and skipped the restart. The configuration change was never detected. The fix is to set the comparisons parameter to a list of attributes to compare, such as cmd, env, labels. This tells the module to detect changes and trigger a restart. Use handlers to restart only when a change is detected, avoiding unnecessary downtime. This is the exact mistake from the incident. The restart, yes parameter only restarts if the container exists and is running, but without comparisons, it doesn't detect configuration changes. Always add comparisons. Without comparisons, the module won't detect changes in environment variables. It will report OK even if you changed ngInx host. Always set comparisons for production. Without nolog, yes, the password may appear in Ansible logs or output. Always set nolog on tasks that handle secrets. If you prefer to run Docker modules on the control node, e.g., in CI/CD, use delegate to, localhost, and ensure the Docker Python software development kit is installed locally. This avoids needing Docker on every target host. The community.docker collection 3x requires Ansible core greater or equal 2.12, and the Docker software development kit for Python equals 500. Mismatched versions can cause cryptic errors like JSON decode failures. Always pin both the collection and software development kit versions across all nodes. When updating resource limits, e.g., memory limit, on an existing container, the module does not apply changes in place. You must destroy and recreate the container. Use state, absent then state, started in separate tasks. To debug container issues, use Docker container info to check the current state. Compare the image tag or start time to see if a restart happened. Use shell commands to inspect Docker directly. Let's run through some common interview questions. How to ensure idempotency with Docker container, use comparisons parameter and Docker container info. Difference between Docker Compose v2 and raw, module is idempotent, raw is flexible but not idempotent. How to handle secrets, use Ansible Vault, nolog, and Docker login. And a few frequently asked questions. What is community.docker? Ansible collection for Docker management. How to install? Ansible Galaxy collection install community.docker. What Python package is needed? Docker software development kit for Python. To recap, install and pin the collection, always set comparisons on Docker container to detect changes, use handlers for restarts, Bootstrap hosts with the Docker software development kit, implement blue-green for zero downtime deployments, and always use nolog on secret tasks. Ready to go deeper? Up next, Ansible in CI/CD pipelines, then Ansible performance tuning, then Ansible linting and testing with Molecule. Find them all at TheCodeForge.io. Thanks for watching. The full article and code examples are covered in detail at TheCodeForge.io.